As I mentioned, our digital fall, the Moss Homestage series, will bring us a variety of fun events uniquely tailored for our community. We'll kick things off with Bowen Yang, who made history when he became Saturday Night Live's first Asian American featured player. He's also one of the show's very few openly gay male cast members. If you've never seen his version of a Chinese-US tariff expert, it's a riot. We'll join Bowen at home for a fun, frank conversation. Venezuela-born concert pianist Gabriela Montero is celebrated for her brilliant interpretations of classical repertory and for her ability to improvise, composing and playing new works in real time. Recipient of a Latin Grammy for Best Classical Album, she has a devoted worldwide following. For us, Montero streams a recital including a classical work and an astonishing real-time classical improvisation based on audience suggestions, live from her studio in Barcelona. As you saw earlier, Leila McCalla is a cellist, banjoist, singer, and guitarist who embraces American roots music at its most fundamental. She'll join us from her home in New Orleans for more music and conversation with the New River Valley's own New Orleanian, Shawanda Marie. Always a sold-out party, the band Pink Martini is inspired by the romantic Hollywood musicals of the 1940s and 50s. With arrangements of Latin music, cabaret, and cinema scores, their sound defies categorization. Lead singer China Forbes, whose songs swoosh past like fabulous gowns in a vintage fashion parade, joins founding pianist Thomas Lauderdale for an intimate concert taking us on a musical trip around the world. Enjoy at home with a cocktail of your choice. Delana Studi dreamed of following the footsteps her ancestors were forced to travel along the Trail of Tears. In 2015, the Cherokee actor and writer embarked on a 6-week journey to retrace the path her great-great-grandparents took when they were forced to relocate from their homelands. A powerful one-woman show honoring Indigenous people everywhere, And So We Walked, recounts her own journey to understand her identity. Studi performs excerpts from the play and engages in conversation, and this program is presented in celebration of Indigenous Peoples Day in partnership with Virginia Tech's American Indian and Indigenous Community Center. Iconic Grammy-winning American fiddler Mark O'Connor garners standing ovations at the Grand Ole Opry with shows unlike any other, blending Americana with incredible sophistication. Mark and his wife Maggie deliver a treasure trove of music together, then share Mark's rare instruments and stories. It'll be a rich evening connected to Appalachian history. Known as Bounce, Efrat Asheri showed us her formidable street dance chops when she came to the Moss with Dorrance Dance. A New York-based B-girl with training in ballet and modern dance, her own work Odeon joyously remixes breakdance, hip-hop, house, and Vogue. Set to live Brazilian jazz, Odeon is scheduled at the Moss this spring. This fall, in a free engagement presentation, she'll break down the work, introduce the dancers, who will demonstrate their specialties, then the whole company will pull off a live-streamed hip-hop improvisation. Charismatic British playwright and performer Javad Alipour takes us on a fascinating deep dive into the dark web, where tech-savvy extremist groups are ripping up the rulebooks. His bold, interactive solo theater piece tells this story, one of an international crisis of masculinity and the underground networks of the internet that it breeds. This private multimedia performance will be live-streamed from a theater in Manchester, England, especially for us, and includes parallel social media interaction with the artist. Then, later this year, as we hope to return to our own stage, we have a number of exciting performance highlights. 2 leading chamber ensembles join forces for a concert highlighting the experience of migration. Immigration Music of Change features music written or inspired by migrants and immigrants from the African and Latin diaspora. Catalyst Quartet features alumni from the internationally acclaimed Sphinx competition, while Grammy-nominated Imani Winds leads a revolution of the wind quintet. Performing both individually and together, the ensembles transform ancestral stories into music. Comedian Paula Poundstone's smart humor has become the stuff of legend. The first woman to perform stand-up comedy at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, she has starred in her own series on HBO, ABC, and won an American Comedy Award for Best Female Stand-Up. And you've probably heard her on Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. Showcasing powerful contemporary dance with exciting live drumming and song, Colombia's Sankofa Danzafros, The City of Others, portrays the reality of marginalized communities who've been up against ethnic discrimination for generations. This work about urban struggle and resilience demands the city be a place of coexistence, a place for everybody, not only a few. The Grammy-nominated Kaunas Symphony Orchestra has established itself as a magnificent musical force. Led by principal conductor Konstantin Orbelian and joined by the dynamic Grammy-nominated American violinist Robert McDuffie, the orchestra will present Tchaikovsky's sweeping Symphony No. 5, the lyrical Brahms Violin Concerto, and the overture for Mozart's famous work, The Marriage of Figaro. In new music, Wilco guitarist Nels Cline and Grammy-nominated Izuri Quartet join forces for Seven Limbs, a virtuosic tour de force filled with melodic beauty, rhythmic urgency, celebration, and serenity. Juxtaposing Cline's inventive guitar playing with the quartet's classical outlook, American composer Douglas Cuomo creates a new musical landscape with an openness that parallels the Buddhist practice of Seven Limbs. This will be the world premiere for Seven Limbs and is one of only a few performances of the work featuring Nels Cline. Tara Westover's best-selling memoir, Educated, has captured worldwide attention. Growing up in rural Idaho in a survivalist family, Westover had no birth certificate and no formal schooling. At 17, she decided to educate herself, escaping her family to eventually earn a doctorate from Cambridge University. Led by her unquenchable thirst for knowledge, she broke ties from an early life of hardship and brutality and found loyalty to herself. If you remember our presentation of Pedal Punk in 2015, you know the fantastic theatrical troupe Cirque Mechanics. Now, workers in a widgets factory break away from the monotony of the assembly line in this family favorite, Birdhouse Factory. With unicyclists, trapeze, and giant wheel champions, and a fantastic trampoline that defies the laws of physics, we are very excited to welcome back these top circus artists. Not just the most famous classical music, but also folk music sounds new when played by the phenomenal, Grammy-nominated Danish String Quartet. With such joy and warmth in its music making, the quartet is known for impeccable musicianship and, above all, deep expressiveness. The Danish String Quartet's Moss debut includes Mozart and Shostakovich quartets and folk music from Nordic countries. If you've heard The Moth on NPR, you know that even in this wired age, we still crave the comforts of a heartfelt story told live. The Moth brings the power of personal storytelling to millions of people each year, celebrating the commonality of human experience. The Moth main stage is a curated national Best Teller evening, where people share personal stories without notes. Sir Andras Schiff is not only one of music's most revered pianists, he's one of its greatest interpreters and your guide for a journey through sonatas by Beethoven, Haydn, and Schubert. In addition to performing worldwide, the Budapest-born Schiff has been awarded numerous international prizes and praise, including a knighthood for services to music and critical acclaim for his recordings. Hear the stories of young international refugees in Cartography, a wonderful play about the lives of children who themselves illustrate both flight and refuge. In this extraordinary and timely evening, we meet kids who are setting out into the unsure waters of their futures. From inflatable rafts on the Mediterranean, to family photos hidden carefully in a backpack, to their expansive dreams, this play is based on real interviews. It's recommended for audiences grades 6 and up. MacArthur Award-winning Mexico City-born author Valeria Luiselli's recent works recount her experiences as a court interpreter for unaccompanied child migrants caught in the labyrinth of U.S. immigration policy. These experiences, her attempts to document them, and the ethical dilemmas these efforts pose are at the core of her latest novel. She's the winner of 2 Los Angeles Times Book Prizes and has been nominated for the Booker Prize. Grammy-winning bassist Edgar Meyer returns to the Moss for the 3rd time. Meyer is celebrated the world over for his work as a performer and composer, while the Scottish ensemble dazzles audiences with vibrant, engaging performances that redefine the string orchestra. This performance includes classical works by Bach and Elgar, along with a new piece Meyer composed specifically for himself and the ensemble. Los Angeles multimedia artist Miwa Matreyek interacts with her digital animations as living shadow silhouettes at the cross-section of cinema and theater. Infinitely Yours explores global warming and the vastly changing Earth. As you can see, her work is magical, mesmerizing, and breathtaking. With a striking voice and radiant energy, 4-time Grammy winner Angelique Kidjo is a chart-topping world music superstar. She blends the West African traditions of her childhood with R&B, funk, and jazz. And her concerts always culminate in joyous, on-stage dance parties. So this will be the perfect season closer for the Moss. Isn't she incredible? And we're not the only ones who are excited. Here are some special greetings from our friends.